Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 16th Annual Polestar Awards. Any gathering on media should start with a very important topic, and what's that? Social media. So the influence of social media on you, me, and all of us around the world has a deep connection with the reason why we have gathered here today. Let's try to understand this a little better. What's the world population today? And I shouldn't give prizes to my boss who's got a serious penchant for numbers. It's 7 billion and is increasing as I'm speaking. Out of these, 3 billion use the internet, which means billions of people have access to social media, right? Most of us with teenage children can endorse this. I can see a lot of you nodding your heads. Which means all these networking sites out there have grabbed the attention of the reader and made him a gamer, a browser, and a user. So we live in a scenario where news updates pop up on our screen through an app, and reading from newspapers and magazines are increasingly becoming passe. At least in Chennai, thanks to Hindu, and since I'm scared what kind of fights will happen with Rajesh Chandramouli, Times of India as well. So at least the habit is here, but I guess in most of the other places it's really disappearing. Now consider this. A study by a search engine journal says that if all social media companies were countries, after China, Facebook would be the most populous country with 1.1 billion users, followed by Google Plus with 693 million users, and Twitter with 554 million users, which is way ahead of the population of the USA. Okay, why am I saying all this? Imagine getting the attention of these denizens of the virtual world, and that includes senior citizens who are also netizens today, to read articles written by journalists who toil to research intensely and wield their pen on paper, finger on the keyboard, to create some remarkable windows and diagnostics into realities of the world, spot patterns, and connect the dots. I guess being a journalist is no longer a glamorous, happy, cushy job, right? Unfazed by this paradigm shift in mass media, we have identified some extraordinary journalists who have managed to make their stories count, even in the world of collaveries and whatnot. Entertaining readers, engaging readers, triggering some very deep thought processes, and influencing them to read on. So the magnitude of this feat is so high that we have an illustrious personality like Dr. Ted Roosevelt Malloch, who's come all the way from the UK to honor us as chief guest for this evening. Let's give him a big round of applause and extend a warm welcome. I can't talk about Dr. Ted Malloch, recounting his numerous accomplishments, but then that would leave us with very little time for dinner. Such is the profile of our chief guest of the evening. And Ted, we are really eager to hear from you, your experiences of teaching in Yale, serving in the US State Department, your tryst with the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and authoring numerous books, including the latest one on business ethics. Welcome, Ted. It is indeed a privilege and pleasure to have you here today. The audience eagerly awaits your keynote address. Now come to the second tradition of Polestar, which is the panel discussion. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the panelists of the evening, Dr. Jayanti S. Ravi, Labour Commissioner, Government of Gujarat, Ms. Sadhana Somshekar, Joint Managing Director, Future Focus. And before people start talking about gender diversity, Mr. Raghuveer Srinivasan, Business Editor, The Hindu, and Mr. Ram N. Ramakrishnan, Partner, Quantum Leap Consulting. So let's give today's panelists a big round of applause. In a time when the obsession to be politically right is seen clogging the spirit of open expression, we have a panel of distinguished opinion makers who dare to take a stance and voice their views without any fear of the moral police picking on every word we utter. Thus, this kind of a panel requires a terrific moderator, right? So I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Govindra Etraj, whose show of courage to mediate such fiery topics and speakers is indeed commendable. So let's give Govind a big round of applause. And a special greeting of welcome to the surprise speaker, Dr. Prasad Kaipa, a world-famous CEO coach, advisor, author, mentor, who will enlighten us with his words of wisdom. Why am I using the word surprise? Because I've just sprung this on him. So Dr. Kaipa, welcome to the 16th Annual Polestar Awards. I think a lot of DNA of the journalist is rubbing off on us also. All these 6 distinguished ladies and gentlemen don multiple hats and have the power of influencing minds with their words and the way in which they wield them. It's a pleasure to read Dr. Jayanti's column, an absolute delight to hear Sadhana speak, and nothing short of a marvel to strike up a conversation with the gentleman here, Raghuvi's fascination with the complex interplay between free market regulations and government, or Ram's love for photography, Govind's passion for finance and technology, and of course our dear Prasad's journey in exploring management wisdom. And they're not oxymorons, by the way. This year, we kept up another tradition of receiving over 500 nominations. Well, receiving hundreds of nominations is one thing, but patiently reading through the heaps of articles, assimilating the context, and evaluating them requires another level of people altogether. In fact, the Polestar Foundation would like to nominate the jury for the Nobel Prize for patience, detailing, and due diligence. And my delightful welcome to our esteemed jury members, Mr. Abhay Gupte, CEO Manipal Technology, Mrs. Aruna Rao, Group CTO Kotak Mahindra Bank and Group Companies, Dr. Ashok Korwar, Management Consultant, Mr. Chand Das, CEO Education Stationery Product Business ITC, Mr. David Appasamy, Management Consultant, Mr. Praveer Vora, former President and Group CTO ICICI Bank, and Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi Rao, Business Advisor and Mentor. So let's give our wonderful people a big round of applause. I see some students here and I expected a little more energy, but I guess the evening has just begun. Well, as my colleague Hema said, the Polestar Foundation was set up to recognize excellence in IT and business journalism 60 years ago. At that time, there was no category called IT journalism, right? It was in the late 90s. There was no category called IT journalism. But this is the mark of the futuristic outlook of an advisory board chaired by eminent minds. Founded by the visionary entrepreneur Arun Jain, founder and chairman Polaris Consulting and Services, the illuminative Polestar Advisory Board includes Dr. Ashok Junjunwala, Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering and Head TNET Group, IIT Chennai, Mr. V. Balraman, Member Advisory Board of Nokia. Mr. Balraman, half of my page tells me which companies your wisdom is being utilized. So let me just read out a couple of those names. Indian Nippon Electricals, Mahindra World City Developers, Adrenaline, and Polaris. Mr. C.K. Ranganathan, Chairman and Managing Director, Kevin Care, Professor Sadagopan, Director, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore, and Mr. Vittal, former Central Vigilance Commissioner. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to yet another landmark evening in the history of Polestar Awards. Without all your guidance and direction, we would not have made it across 16 years. Atiti Devo Bhava. I also extend my earnest welcome to each and every one of you in the audience. That includes senior representatives from government departments, foreign officers, industry veterans, corporate leaders, media stalwarts, future opinion makers, I mean the students, social influencers, I mean the professors and members from educational institutions, distinguished members from trade associations, and of course my colleagues from Polaris and Intellect. I believe the wonderful people here and the incredible experiences this occasion has to offer will leave a deep, positive impression on all of us. I hope you all enjoy the very special keynote address and the stimulating panel discussion and come together in congratulating the winners of the 16th Annual Polestar Awards. The stars of the evening are indeed the winners. They are seated right here. And I'm taking vicarious pleasure in keeping the secret to myself. They are here amidst us, and you will know of them in the next couple of minutes. I'd like to close with some beautiful words from Robert Williams Service. Carry on, fight the good fight and true. Believe in your mission, greet life with a cheer. There's big work to do, and that's why you're here. Carry on, let the world be the better for you. Wish you a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you.